It's a warm Saturday afternoon, in August 1956. You're 15 years old, walking down Main Street in any small town in America, and you can hear it before you see it. The gentle hum of conversation, the clink of long spoons against tall glasses, and the rhythmic whir of the milkshake machine. You push through the screen door of Miller's drugstore, and there it is, the soda fountain. 20 feet of gleaming marble counter, chrome fixtures that catch the afternoon light, and rows of glass dispensers filled with colorful syrups. Behind the counter, a man in a white paper hat and bow tie is pulling a lever, sending a perfect stream of carbonated water into a glass already sweet with cherry syrup. "What'll it be today?" he asks, sliding the finished cherry Coke across the marble toward a girl your age, whose cheeks are flushed from the heat outside. You slide onto a red vinyl stool, spin once just because you can, and order what you always order: a chocolate malt extra thick, with whipped cream and a cherry on top. This was the soda fountain. For nearly a century, from the 1870s through the 1970s, it was the beating heart of American social life. Teenagers met there after school. Families gathered there on weekends. Young couples shared ice cream sundaes on first dates. Business was conducted over coffee floats and egg creams. It was where you celebrated, where you commiserated, where you simply belonged. Then, almost without anyone noticing, they began to disappear. The soda fountain was born from necessity and flourished through innovation. In the late 1800s, most drugstores installed soda fountains as a way to make carbonated water for medicinal purposes. The equipment was expensive: marble counters, brass fittings, complex carbonation systems, but pharmacists quickly discovered that flavored sodas attracted more customers than medicinal tonics. What started as a medical device became the centerpiece of American social culture. By the 1920s, soda fountains had evolved into elaborate affairs. The counter was always marble, cool to the touch, easy to clean, and impressive to look at. Behind it stood an array of syrup dispensers, ice cream freezers, and the star of the show, the carbonation system that created the perfect fizzy water. The soda jerk, as he was affectionately known, was part chemist, part performer, and part social director. He memorized dozens of recipes, operated complex equipment, and served as the unofficial mayor of his small kingdom behind the marble counter. The language of the soda fountain was its own dialect. A black cow was a root beer float. Nervous pudding was jello. Burn one meant prepare a chocolate malted. When you ordered a Coke with legs, you got it to go. The soda jerk didn't just make drinks. He spoke in code, moved with practiced efficiency, and created theater from the simple act of mixing syrup with carbonated water. The drinks themselves were works of art. A proper ice cream soda required precise technique: syrup in the bottom of the glass, a scoop of ice cream, carbonated water poured slowly to create the perfect foam. Milkshakes were hand-mixed with metal containers and spindle mixers, creating a texture no modern blender can replicate. Sundaes came with names like Tin Roof and Hot Fudge Delight, each one a careful construction of ice cream, sauce, nuts, and whipped cream, designed to please both the eye and the palate. But the soda fountain was more than just a place to buy sweets. It was a social institution. After school, teenagers would gather around the counter, sharing sodas and gossip in equal measure. The popular kids claimed the center stools while newcomers and shy students gravitated toward the ends. Romance bloomed over shared sundaes. Friendships were cemented with matching cherry Cokes. The soda fountain was democracy in action. Anyone with a nickel could claim a stool and belong. Saturday afternoons were prime time. Families would arrive after shopping or errands, parents ordering coffee, while children debated the merits of chocolate versus vanilla ice cream. The youngest would press their faces against the curved glass of the ice cream freezer, fogging it with their breath as they tried to choose between 31 flavors. Fathers would hoist toddlers onto stools too tall for small legs, while mothers helped translate complicated dessert names into language children could understand. The equipment was a marvel of early 20th century engineering. The carbonation system involved tanks of CO2, pressure gauges, and delivery mechanisms that required daily maintenance and careful calibration. The ice cream freezers, powered by early refrigeration technology, maintained perfect temperatures through complex networks of cooling coils. The syrup dispensers were measured to deliver exactly the right amount of flavoring every time. It was precise, mechanical, and utterly reliable when properly maintained. Different regions developed their own specialties. In Philadelphia, the egg cream reigned supreme despite containing neither eggs nor cream. In the South, cherry phosphates were popular on hot afternoons. New York fountains specialized in elaborate sundaes. The Midwest perfected the thick, rich malt served with the mixing cup. The social dynamics created lasting memories. First dates often began there, with nervous teenagers sharing banana splits. Groups of friends would pool money for a single large sundae. The soda jerk became a confidant, therapist, and sometimes matchmaker, watching young relationships bloom across his marble counter. Seasonal rituals developed around the fountain. Summer meant root beer floats and ice cream sodas to combat the heat. Winter brought hot chocolate topped with whipped cream, and warm apple cider served in heavy mugs. Back-to-school time was marked by after-school crowds celebrating freedom with chocolate malts. Prom season brought dressed-up couples ordering fancy sundaes as part of their special evening. The decline began subtly in the 1960s, accelerated by changes in how Americans lived, worked, and socialized. The rise of suburban shopping centers drew customers away from downtown main streets, where most soda fountains were located. Families who once walked to the local drugstore now drove to sprawling shopping plazas, where convenience and parking mattered more than atmosphere and tradition. Fast food chains fundamentally altered the economics of the soda fountain business. McDonald's, Burger King, and other quick-service restaurants could serve ice cream and soft drinks faster and cheaper than traditional fountains. Their standardized products, efficient service, and lower prices appealed to busy families who valued speed over the craftsmanship of a hand-mixed malt or artfully constructed sundae. The labor-intensive nature of fountain service became economically unsustainable. A skilled soda jerk required training, experience, and decent wages. As labor costs rose and profit margins tightened, many business owners found they couldn't afford to maintain the elaborate equipment and skilled staff that proper fountain service required. It was easier and more profitable to install a soft-serve machine and pre-packaged ice cream than to maintain the complex systems of a traditional fountain. Technology changed consumer expectations in ways that worked against the soda fountain. Home refrigeration improved, allowing families to keep ice cream at home. Television provided entertainment that competed with fountain socializing. Air conditioning made hot days less desperate for cooling ice cream sodas. The drugstore industry was transforming. Corner pharmacists were being replaced by chain drugstores focused on pharmaceutical sales. These new stores prioritized efficiency over ambiance, prescription processing over social gathering. The soda fountain became a liability rather than an asset. Changing social patterns among young people reduced the fountain's role as a gathering place. Teenagers gained mobility through increased car ownership, allowing them to venture beyond their immediate neighborhoods. The shopping mall food court offered variety and novelty that traditional fountains couldn't match. Youth culture itself was changing, embracing new forms of music, fashion, and social interaction that made the soda fountain feel dated and overly wholesome. The complexity of fountain maintenance became a burden that fewer business owners were willing to shoulder. The carbonation systems required daily attention. The ice cream freezers needed constant temperature monitoring. The marble counters demanded regular cleaning and polishing. The syrup dispensers had to be calibrated and cleaned. As experienced soda jerks retired, their knowledge went with them, making it increasingly difficult to maintain fountain operations properly. By 1975, most traditional soda fountains had closed or been removed from their original locations. A few survived in tourist areas or as nostalgic novelties, but the everyday presence of the fountain in American life had ended. The elaborate equipment was sold to collectors or thrown away. The marble counters were removed to make room for magazine racks and greeting card displays. The culture and community that had grown up around the fountain dissolved into memory. What disappeared with the soda fountain was more than just a place to buy ice cream and sodas. It was a particular kind of social space, unhurried, intergenerational, and genuinely welcoming to all ages and social classes. The fountain served as a community center, where people gathered not because they had to, but because they wanted to. It fostered the kinds of casual, ongoing relationships that build strong neighborhoods and lasting friendships. The craftsmanship aspect was also significant. Each soda was individually prepared by skilled hands using traditional techniques passed down through generations. There was artistry in the perfect carbonation, pride in the ideal foam-to-liquid ratio, satisfaction in creating a sundae that looked as good as it tasted. This kind of artisanal approach to simple pleasures has largely disappeared from modern food service. The intergenerational aspect of fountain culture was particularly important. Grandparents, parents, and children could all find something to enjoy in the same space. Young people learned social skills by watching adults interact. Older customers stayed connected to youth culture through proximity to younger patrons. The fountain created natural opportunities for different generations to encounter each other in positive, pleasant circumstances. Modern ice cream shops and dessert parlors have attempted to recreate some aspects of the fountain experience, but they typically lack the equipment, skills, and social culture that made traditional fountains special. Soft-serve machines and pre-made toppings can't replicate the texture and flavor of hand-mixed malts and fresh sundaes. More importantly, the social context has changed. We no longer live in communities where a single gathering place can serve as a center for ongoing social interaction. The soda fountain represented a time when simple pleasures were genuinely satisfying, when communities were small enough for everyone to know the soda jerk's name, and when a well-made ice cream soda was worth the time it took to prepare properly. It embodied values of craftsmanship, community, and unhurried enjoyment that seem increasingly foreign in our fast-paced, convenience-oriented world. If you remember the cool marble against your arms on a hot day, the satisfying scrape of a long spoon against the bottom of a tall glass, or the way a perfectly made chocolate malt could turn an ordinary afternoon into something special, you remember a piece of American culture that shaped how generations learned to socialize, celebrate, and find comfort in simple sweetness shared with others. Where was your soda fountain? Do you remember your favorite order? The name of the person who made it? The sound of the carbonated water hitting the syrup? Those details matter because they represent a time when community was built one ice cream soda at a time, when craftsmanship mattered even in the simplest transactions, and when the best part of any day might be found on a red vinyl stool in front of a marble counter, surrounded by the gentle sounds of neighbors enjoying each other's company.